So if you are just starting out in your programming journey, you probably need to watch out for the my first language trap. So what is my first language trap? My first language trap is a scenario whereby you are being trapped into thinking about this language you should start with, and trust me, you will continue to think and waste a lot of time instead of just speaking one language out there and start to learn. So many people have entered this trap and we wouldn't want you to be among them, but if you are already inside this trap, help is here. So I'm gonna give you 3 things to look out for if you are choosing your first programming language. First, you need to check the practicability, how practical the programming language is. Then secondly, you need to check the popularity of the language, because the more popular the better, and the more popular the more the community of users, which in turn helps you. And the simplicity of the language, that is how simple the language is. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 languages which you have to choose from, and I'm also going to tell you my best recommendation. So I want you to do one thing after watching this video. Do not go back into thinking about the programming language you should start with. Just pick anyone from these 5 and dedicate your time to learn it, and I promise you, you will never regret it. So that being said, let's go into work with these languages. So the 5th language on my list here is the Swift programming language. So the Swift programming language is Apple's main programming language. It is used to develop iOS and macOS applications. Formerly, it used to be Objective-C, but you know, the Objective-C is getting old, so it's being replaced by Swift. And mind you, Swift is not only used by Apple. Big companies like Uber also use the Swift programming language. And as a Swift developer, you are going to earn a reasonable amount of money, especially if you are in the US. So if you want to become an iOS or a macOS developer, try and learn Swift and you will not regret it. So the second on my list here is a language that has been a bit controversial, and I don't know, it's a kind of weird because I kind of mentioned this language in the 5 programming language you shouldn't learn, and here is also in the 5 programming language you should learn.
What is wrong with you?
So that means that this language is only meant for the strong-hearted. You really need to put in the work and dedicate yourself and your time to learn this language. And if you can learn this language, I promise you, getting into other language will be super easy. And for the record, this was the first language I learned, and I'm not regretting it. It's just that you need to put in enough discipline and hard work to learn this one more than the other languages on this list.
You know how much I sacrificed?
So that being said, the language is C++. I know that you guessed that right. C++ is a very versatile language. It can be used for game development, web development, and several other types of development. C++ is very wide and very practical, and it is also very popular. One thing I like about the C++, it's the practicability, and it is also a low-level programming language, which means that it interacts directly with the system hardware and memory. So if you are just starting out, watch out for C++. If you can dedicate your time and learn this language, you surely not gonna regret it. So that being said, our third on the list is also a very popular language. In fact, it is the most popular language among programmers, and according to Stack Overflow, 69% of programmers use this language. Wow, this language is very popular and very widely used, and it's also relatively simple to learn and has a lot of practicability. And the language is no other language than JavaScript. Yes, JavaScript is used mainly for web development. Now it can also be used for games development and other types of development. It's widely used and very popular. The community of users are really wide, and you are surely gonna get a lot of help if you are learning this language first. And it's also a very sweet language. Very sweet and very practical. So if you are to choose JavaScript as your first language, you are not missing anything, especially if you want to go mainly into web development. So the second on our list here, I'm not really a fan of this language, but I am surprised it made it to the list as the second best programming language to learn with. You know, I am not really a fan of the language because I think that it's kind of a little bit difficult and odd, but It also has a wide community of users and is also very, very popular. You know, it can also be simple, but you really need to put in the work. 38% of programmers use this language, which made it the third most popular language. So this language is no other language than Java. So Java is a very, very popular language, and what made this language to come as the second is that it is used in variety of sectors. In almost every department that needs software, you can use JavaScript. No matter the OS is being written on, you can use JavaScript to develop financial apps and so many, any type of app, even games and every type of thing that you want to do, you can use JavaScript and do it. It is that popular. So if you learn JavaScript, you are sure to land this job sooner, and it is relatively simple and practical. So don't forget, none of them is a walk in a park. You really need to put in the work, and they also earn a handsome amount of money, especially if you are also in the US.
I have to say, wait, before we give our answer, let's talk money. Dollars and cents, Wes.
So before I call the first language, which is the best language you should learn as a beginner, just go down and smash the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. Click the bell notification icon and also like the video so that we can defeat the YouTube algorithm.
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. Today I am going to make a new video, so please whatever.
So that being said, the best programming language to start with is also a very popular programming language, and I know you might have guessed this programming language. This programming language comes second as the mostly used programming language with almost 41% of users. Whoa, that's a lot. And one thing that is outstanding about this language is the simplicity. This language is super simple. When you're writing with this language, it's just like you're writing with English language. It is that simple. The language is super simple, super easy, and it is beginners friendly, very practical and very popular. So you know the language, it is no other language than the Python programming language. So Python programming language was built with one thing in mind, that is simplicity. It is relatively the most simple language to learn and is also widely used. It can also be used for a variety of things, especially for data scientists and game developers and every other type of development. Python can also fit in it. Python is a very popular programming language, and you should learn Python if you are just starting to learn how to code. So Python is one of the best, if not the best.
I'm the best you ever seen, Pat. I'm the best there is. Even if you beat me, I'm still the best.
But don't get me wrong, you are not going to regret learning any of the 5 programming languages which I just mentioned here. You just have to pick one and start to learn, and I promise you, you won't regret it. Don't just go over thinking about the one that you should pick. In my opinion, if you ask me which one should you pick, it really depends on what you want to do. If you are going into web development, I think you should go for JavaScript. But if you are going into things like data science or game development or any of those back-end development, I think that Python is the best to start with. Python is the best to start with. So if you want to work for Apple, you can also learn the Swift programming language. Is going to help. So none of these languages are bad. All of them are really super good. Just pick one and learn. And remember, none of them is a walk in a park. You really need to put in the work and the discipline and the focus. So comment down below and tell me the language you are going to start with. If you have already started, tell me the one you are currently learning so that I can see how to help you out. And if you have any question, also put it in the comment section, and I promise to answer each of every one of them. So remember, you don't need any other motivation. All you need is discipline and focus. Peace.